Hello everybody. Well, I'm going to talk about English for science and technology. Due to the rapid expansion of English for science and technology in the last 50 years, science and technology were early focus for ESP researchers. The initial interest of EST teachers and researchers was on, first, linguistic form, with later emphasis on skill. A more recent focus has been on disciplinary socialization, and most recently a critical perspective which considers how literary practice express societal or disciplinary power differences. Now, what does English for science and technology encompass? A text is recognized as scientific English because of the combined effect of clusters of features and importantly the relation of these features throughout the text. Characteristic forms and vocabulary of science and technology should not be considered as separate from the genders in which they occur because linguistic differences as part of what constitute gender. Now there are some important points. The first is culture and value. To become a member of science discourse community, a student needs to participate in and come to regard as natural research science value. That science is quantitative, repeatable, and ideally free from bias. Disciplinary discourse is not equally accessible to everyone. Science and technology are not context free. To facilitate access to disciplinary discourse, EST teachers need awareness of societal inequalities. Integration into the ST discourse community. A disciplinary socialization perspective views students as not merely learning that registers and genres important in their discipline, but as being incultured into those disciplines by learning disciplinary values and behavior. This perspective draws on culture theory, viewing discourse practices as learned through interaction with those who have already mastered them. Now we have research into ESTGM. Researchers have worked on identifying key EST genders. Yet the EST learner must to consider how best to teach them in order to provide access to this course community. One is rhetorical features of research article. Second, thesis and dissertation. Third, studies of science textbooks. These differences mean that textbooks cannot easily be used as model for graduate students who need to write um, research articles. Pedagogical journals, laboratory reports, and the last design reports. Language features of EST. The grammatical and lexical features of language we use for a specific purpose as are by definition specialized and not a routine part of a native speaker repertoire. Indeed, corpus study have shown how specialized the lexical grammar and discourse strategy of disciplinary journals are. The distinctive organization of written specific tests has shown how meaning in science tend to be expressed nominally rather than casually. Now, vocabulary as well as grammar differ from discipline to discipline. Um, Also, there are some technical work which have both an engineering and non-engineering meaning. From technical work are which have not exact synonym, resistant semantic change, and have a narrow range of use. The second is engagement, personal language and citation practices. Language in science and technology is generally viewed as very impersonal. Students are not encouraged by discipline specialists and ESP textbook. A teacher to avoid personal language is in order to appear objective. And the last is visual element and multimodal interpretation. Graphs and diagrams are an important part of science and technology discourse. Diagrams are not an easily accessible language, but rather conventional depth which require disciplinary knowledge to understand. In conclusion, this chapter has indicated the need for EST teachers to take into account not only of lexic, grammar, and genre of science and engineer, but also to consider the disciplinary context into which students are being socialized, including to and culture and values of this discipline. Thanks for your attention.